This is a $78 smartphone and the spec sheet reads like someone typed it wrong. You get a 120Hz screen, IP68 water resistance, always on display, stereo speakers with DTS, a headphone jack, a memory card slot, a whole dynamic port thing going on, AI features like image generation and writing assist, and it can even make calls without a SIM or internet using something called Freelink. All of this for $78, which means I can buy 3 of these for the price of one iPhone Pocket, one sock, or 3 phones. What are you picking? This is the Techno Spark Go 2, my father's new phone, and probably a phone brand most of you in the Americas have never even heard of. So I borrowed it for the day, took it with me on a hike, and I want to see if budget phones have finally gotten so good that maybe we don't even need flagships anymore. Or has this phone found some clever loophole? Okay, here's the trail, and here's my buddy and some monkeys who clearly didn't like us. I've used plenty of cheap phones, so I was ready for pain. Lags, stutters, bad cameras, the usual. But this one surprised me straight from the design. Look at it, tell me this doesn't look like something between an S25 Edge and an iPhone 16. It has the premium vibe, just not the premium materials. And then the first thing I saw was the screen brightness in the sun, and I was like, this display is actually bright, way brighter than I expected. Once I flipped on the outside booster setting, the brightness and sound went way up. Apparently it also cuts down on noise for phone calls. That's generous. Now remember how I said this phone can make phone calls without SIM or internet? So right here in the middle of nowhere, I tried that. Here's the Go 2 with no network. My buddy has Go 1. In theory, I should be able to call him right now.
Rizwan, show me your phone.
It was at this moment we knew.
But before I tell you why Freelink didn't work, let me tell you about something that will work. Dr.Fone. Imagine if all that video I just recorded disappeared right now, this entire video would be ruined. And then I'd need a file recovery tool that actually works. But most recovery tools either do nothing or feel like walking on nails. But Dr.Fone from Wondershare is different. With Dr.Fone's new toolkit, it's actually painless. I've been testing it this week and bro, it's wild how much it can do. Let's say you accidentally delete your photos, WhatsApp chats or messages from years ago. Dr.Fone can bring them back, whether it's iPhone or Android, even if the screen is broken. Their new Recovery for Android Broken Phone literally pulls data out of phones that still turn on but can't be used. And it's not just recovery. If your phone ever gets stuck on boot logo, logged out or acts weird after an update, their system repair fixes it in one click without wiping your data. It even supports the latest iPhone 17 series and iOS 26, so it works with anything new or old. I'll drop the link in the description, so check it out and see for yourself. Anyway, Freelink didn't work because the Go 1 doesn't have the feature, so obviously nothing happened. I looked it up a bit and there's no custom hardware for it. They just use the same antenna and Bluetooth chip as the other phones, but Techno only enables it on certain models. Now, cheap phones usually flex and creak under pressure, but this one feels solid. The seams, the buttons, everything nicely done. Then I saw this tiny waterfall on the trail, and well, the inner Pathan in me woke up and had to take a selfie, of course. I expected ads everywhere, but so far, nothing. Yes, there's bloatware, Palm Store, junk apps, but man, the phone just feels smooth. Play Store tried sending me install this junk notifications, but that's it. The animations are soft, elastic, and fun. The control center, yes, it's basically a nod to that certain fruit brand UI we all know, but it works and it feels nice. And then while sitting on the rocks, I found myself filming a family of monkeys. They were just chilling. But then the scene had an awkward twist. 2 of them got a bit too friendly. I mean, what is going on here? But then I got curious about the phone. So I looked up the specs. It's running Unisoc T7250, octa-core, 4GB RAM, basic stuff, nothing special. But Techno must have done some serious optimization because it runs great. The software isn't stock or Go version of Android 15, it's their iOS 15 skin. It even has a dynamic island, dynamic port. Yes, they had to copy it, but it works surprisingly close to dynamic island, sort of. And then I remembered those 2015 days when you could open a specific app by drawing a symbol on the lock screen. It has that here. Quick gestures, small actions, AI camera tricks, all in a phone that costs less than iPhone Air massive battery. If that doesn't satisfy your gadget lust, it has the headphone jack. Hell yeah, S26 Ultra, do you have that? Nope. And then there's Techno AI. This is actually a big deal for a phone at this price. It's using DeepSeek's R1 model and has Ella. Yeah, Ella voice. I can trigger it with the power button, ask questions, upload a document, pick a photo from the gallery, just like ChatGPT. We can even generate images here. And yes, sometimes it glitches, but mostly it works. Oh, and it can even help with writing. And I get to pick my favorite voice. How pretty is that? The 2K video it shoots isn't great, as you probably guessed. It's shaky, it's rough, and honestly a blind person could tell it came from this phone, but then again, $78. Portraits are decent. In good lighting, photos are solid for the price. Zooming destroys everything, so don't zoom. Dual video recording. iPhone 17, where are you? Pro mode. AI styles built into the camera. Super night mode that's surprisingly good. Vlogging features, if that's your thing. Beauty filters that can give you a whole new identity. And a front-facing LED flash. Here's how these photos looks next to my poor old flagship Pixel 6. But if Pixel has the Pixel look, Samsung has the Samsung look, and iPhone has the iPhone look, then all budget phones have their look. You know the one. Stabilization is terrible, but slightly better than last year. And it doesn't just have stereo speakers, they are actually good. The bass is surprisingly punchy, the volume is loud, and it even claims DDS sound. When I switched to the preset, it definitely changed the sound. But after that, I wasn't sure if I liked the change. So instead of pretending I'm an audio engineer, I just kept it on smart mode. It's smarter than me anyway. But haptics, you know exactly how they feel. Customizations though, I don't even know where to start. DIY themes, wallpapers, online themes, always on display with lots of styles. Though since this isn't OLED, the AOD stays on for like 10 seconds before turning off. So it's more like sometimes on display, not always on display. When you plug it in, a landscape charging clock pops up that honestly looks as good as the iPhone one. Don't fight me on this. Also, you can even set per app refresh rates to save battery. And speaking of battery life, this thing just sips power. Remember I started with almost full battery? By the time I reached the top of the trail and stopped to rest, it dropped to 58%. On a normal day with medium brightness, I got 6 hours of screen on time and still had 30 to 40% left. Equilibrium mode works. It's a 5000 mAh cell with 15 watts of charging, but the box gives a 20 watt break. Classic. The screen is 720p at 263 ppi, so text is soft but honestly fine at this price. App opening times surprised me too. Instagram, TikTok, WhatsApp, everything works. A bit slower than my poor flagship, but nowhere near painful. And Subway Surfers ran fine after a few small stutters. And yeah, it doesn't have an ultrasonic in-display fingerprint sensor, but that's actually a feature. This is my father's phone, and now there's one less thing for him to hunt for. I just told him press the power button and he's vibing with it. Plus, it also has a face unlock. If your standards are high, it won't beat your main device, but it's absolutely daily drivable, and it works as a solid backup phone for anyone. When you look at this phone from my perspective, as someone who reviews phones every week, it's easy to say, yeah, it's cheap. But that word doesn't mean the same thing everywhere. For a lot of people watching from Pakistan, India, Africa, Brazil, and other regions, this isn't just a budget phone. It's half a month's salary, sometimes more. And that's why phones like the Techno Go 2 exist. So when someone says, who even buys this? The answer is simple. Millions of people who don't get to choose between 10 expensive phones every year. For them, this is the phone that keeps them connected, keeps them working, and gives them features they never thought they could afford. Now, the Dr.Fone link is in the description, so go check it out. And now, I'll catch you in the next one.